Hey all, this is Kasakma Keparu with New World Dimensions, and today I want to talk about the topic of population control. The other day I was having a discussion on an online forum with a group of people, and we were talking about the new movie that came out called The Butler, and it stars Forest Whitaker. It was directed by Lee Daniels. So I was pretty much informing the individuals on the forum that you shouldn't support or see movies like this simply because they're trying to bring to fruition a certain type of reality, and they're trying to get you to act in accordance with their view and their reality. So I'll explain further on that. But let me go into the two ways that a population can be controlled. There's the first way, which is a one-to-one correlation. What do I mean by that? It's simple as this. The United States would usually, for example, create a fictitious political party in a third world country where the United States wasn't happy with the current political leader or political party. So let's say you have this person who is democratically elected, but the United States, for whatever reason, doesn't like him or her. They would create a false political party, which would create dissent. It would hand out flyers, create all kinds of political messages around getting rid of that political leader, and until eventually there was a coup d'etat. The other way the United States would work is that here we would create messages through mainstream media that would talk about how bad that political leader was, all because that leader didn't go in alignment with the United States agenda. And the agenda, of course, is not set by specifically our government, but it's set by the hidden hand. I'll talk about that a little later. So that's one way of a direct one-to-one correlation about how a population is controlled, because many times your worst enemy is the people that you're working with, because they've been so conditioned and so brainwashed, they act as in opposition to their best interest, and because they really don't know they're doing that, because they've been so, again, brainwashed or conditioned to think so. The other way, which is more devious and deals with occult powers, and we know that the organizations that are in control, or the organization that is in control, call it what you want, the hidden hand or the Illuminati, work through these occult powers to control the masses of people. And the way that they operate is based on the 100 Monkeys principle, which, if you're not really sure what that is, go back and watch my other previous videos, which goes into that in detail. But basically what that is they understand that if they can reach enough people with their message, then it's called the tipping point. At that point, let's say 100 people, the message or the behavior that they want to get people to act in accordance with suddenly will be widespread, spread out like a virus throughout the race. Because, okay, let's take a step back. Every race has a survival mechanism within them, and that survival mechanism works through the unconscious mind. And if something is needed real strongly for a survival purpose, the subconscious mind will influence everybody within that racial group to act in that way, purely so that your genes can carry on and you can survive. That's how it works. But the way the message has to be implanted, and I talk about implants in the previous video, is that it has to be based on a very strong emotional impulse, and it has to reach a certain amount of people. Then at that point, the message doesn't have to keep going, because it will spread automatically virally. So that is the way you control a population. So going back to when I was saying that you shouldn't support movies like The Butler, The Help, or The Green Mile, not simply because it shows African Americans in a very subservient manner. Yes, that's true. But if you understand the agenda of the Illuminati, is that they are enacting mass population control, not by merely putting in place, troops or soldiers in the street armed, but merely by the way of influencing a group within a group to enforce it. So you have people who are among your own racial group who are acting diametrically opposed to the welfare of the group. And it is amazing to see how this operates, and is very ingenious, but they've been doing it for a long period of time. And it has nothing to do with, for example, just Asian Americans, African Americans. It goes beyond that. It goes to understanding that they have an agenda and they're putting forth that. And you have to remember, too, that movies are very, very powerful programming tools. So you're not going to a movie just merely for the fact of being entertained, but it's a way of programming you, because whatever belief system you harbor, your subconscious, or let's call it the spirit, because that's what it really is, the spirit works to manifest that reality, because there is really no reality, only the one that you create through your subjective views. So when you're seeing a movie, what the system is doing to you, it's not Hollywood, because the powers that really manipulate and control the world is behind Hollywood, but they want you to think it's actually in our government or it's in Hollywood. No, that's why I call it the hidden hand, because it's the puppeteers are behind everything. So you have to understand that that's how they're operating, is based on that way of trying to program the population to manifest a certain reality. And that reality comes in many, many different forms and agenda, but chiefly it is used as a way to control the population without the use of troops, without the use of putting into effect, military order. And that's one of the most powerful ways of going about it, is using the occult powers to first render the population, dumb down the population, render the population powerless. Another way of doing this that we see, and that this happened widespread, is through religious institutions, through your church. When you identify with the human being, the physical flesh, and you don't understand that who you truly are is infinite in your potential and your power. But if you start identifying with, I'm just a human being, I make mistakes, I'm limited in my power and what the ability I have I can do. When you start to accept that, you bring that reality into manifestation, so you become a limited person who does not have power over the physical realm. When in reality that you have unlimited power, you just have to tap into that and understand that who you truly are is godlike. But that's the way those who are in control want to keep it. Your knowledge is of who you are, keep you ignorant of that. So the more that they can put out these movies, and I'm not just picking on films like The Help or Precious and things like that. It goes to a wide array of movies. I mean, whenever you see something like Die Hard, where the protagonist has to pick up weapons and machine guns to fight the antagonist, that is not really showing you that the power that lies within you, that does not need to resort to that type of violence to win a battle or to overcome your enemies, So I want you to think about that. This is a very important subject to keep in mind about when you go into the movies. You're being programmed to manifest someone else's reality and someone else's truth. So you have to really be cognizant of the fact that you're being manipulated to bring a world into being that you do not agree with. All right? So I've given you a lot to think about. This is Kasakma Keparu with New World Dimensions, and that's all for now.